Millions of smooth, prismatic pebbles of glass blanket shores near Fort Bragg, giving the famous site its nickname, Glass Beach. Though the glass pebbles are not quite an all-natural formation, they've been drawing tourists for decades. Joseph Cass Forrington, a former sea captain and owner of the Sea Glass Museum, says it was just considered a local beach when he visited with a friend.
We were sitting there one day, and I was looking around at the glass, and I said, this is pretty. I said, somebody should do something with this. And I had two girls in college at the time that were keeping me tapped out. I'm on a pension, so I wanted a little money to go play golf. And I haven't played golf since I started doing it, but that's what the original intent was.
He started to collect the glass and display his collection in a small display at a friend's house.
He was there one day, and a woman came in, and just the one display case, she said, boy, this is like a museum. And he told me that, and I said, well, actually, I'd like to start a museum. So he cleaned out his office space, another room, and I started with these few display cases you see here and there. And it was such a hit that the next year we cleaned out another large room, and I got these display cases and put them in there. And then the next year another room, and then next year another room, and then the next year another room, until you see this whole collection here.
Since 2005, he has owned the Sea Glass Museum and sold sea glass jewelry. The glass, which is now treasured by Forrington and tourists alike, instead started out as trash discarded at sea. Then nature took over, beautifying man's waste.
Our ancestors didn't have landfills and places to take their trash, so if you lived on the water, on the river, on a lake, on an ocean, on a bay, that's where you threw your trash. Now, there was nothing wrong with it. It was all biodegradable, which meant it was bio-nourishing. What makes Fort Bragg different is that the rock formations here set up wave patterns that keep everything on the beach. Nothing ever washes away here. All right, so they didn't realize that at the time, of course, when they started dumping.
The most common colors are white, green, and amber glass. The rarest are red, orange, and purple.
But these 1 in 10,000 pieces, you see how few I have.
Yeah.
And some of those were donated, a couple of them.
Wow.
I only found 4 in 10 years.
Why is it so rare? Is it because...
They just didn't make much of that glass.
Oh, the purple glass.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reds are rare because it was mostly used in the taillights of old cars, and the orange were the turn signals of old cars. But the red, the bright red, has gold in it to give it its luster.
He sorts and identifies them with the help of what he calls the Bible of sea glass, called Pure Sea Glass by Richard Lamotte. The museum also has a blacklight room that would make the glass glow.
Yeah, but there were two makers that back in the 30s put uranium in the glass to brighten the colors, and that was mostly in the green jadeite glass. That's a very popular thing. Any glass that glows under a black light we call Vaseline glass. Not because it's part of a Vaseline jar or anything, but just Vaseline glass because it has uranium in it. And it wasn't just the green. They put it in other colors too to brighten them, some aquas, some reds, bright lemon, oranges, and bright limes and bright yellows.
It became an official dumping ground in 1906 after the earthquake.
So we have 3 dump sites, 1906 to 1943, 1943 to 1949, and 1949 to 1967. And the last of those, Site 3, that's Glass Beach, what people call Glass Beach. The other beaches I just call Site 1 and Site 2.
According to Forrington, Glass Beach used to have 7 feet thick of glass. Now it's mostly depleted. Because of the bio-nourishing aspects of glass, Forrington believes it's important to locally recycle the glass to replenish the beaches.
The sea glass has created the richest marine environment in at least Northern California. And that's because glass is made, colored, and clarified with minerals. And as the glass dissolves into salt water, which gives us this nice patina, it releases those minerals, and that's the basis of the food chain. So our glass beaches are teeming with life. In between the glass, you can't even see microfauna, microflora, and then little shrimps and worms and insects that are in there eating those, and it just goes up.
Forrington advocates for the formation of glass reefs to initiate a food chain in depleted areas worldwide. Eileen Ang, NTD News, Fort Bragg, California.